Hi, I'm Carlos and I'm a computer science student at USC. I'm also a pet owner. More specifically, I'm the owner of this pet. Aww. Over the past few months, I've gained a following on TikTok by posting videos featuring my pet. I've received a lot of support through doing this, but I've also encountered the same type of problematic comment over and over again. People, usually children, asking me for advice and suggestions about taking care of hamsters. While some of the things that these kids ask about are troubling, I don't think it's fair to conclude that hamsters are unfit pets for kids. In my experience, caring for a hamster has been relatively easy, and I feel that anyone can do it. The problem, then, lies with a lack of education. This lack of education is extremely evident when you take a look at a kid's first visit to a pet store to get a new pet. Far too often, the only knowledge that children have going into a pet store is that which their parents told them, which may be outdated information. And even if the information is relevant, it's often difficult to teach this to your children. The experience of going to a pet store needs to be updated. What if there was a way to enhance the pet store experience while also educating children on what it means to take care of a pet? My pitch is for an app that can be used anywhere, that teaches children about taking care of an animal by providing it with a virtual pet. Virtual pets have been in use for decades and have proved extremely entertaining for young children. What if, in addition to this entertainment, there was an added level of realism to practice the responsibilities of being a pet owner? This app could have integrations such as augmented reality through the phone's camera that allows for you to see and interact with your pet, as well as actual time notifications for completing certain tasks such as feeding, grooming, or playing with your pet. While my demonstration is mainly about hamsters, this method could be applied to any pet and can help children to understand what it means to take care of a pet before they get one. After training on this app until they feel they're ready, the users can be guided through a completely new experience of shopping at a pet store. Instead of going in nearly blind and not knowing what to buy, the app could help children walk through what to get for each type of pet and recommendations from their virtual pet friend. This way, the kids will understand why the pet needs each of the items and how important it is to get the right things. The experience of the app does not end simply at the location-based experience of the pet store. Once returning home with the real pet, there can be interaction between virtual and real pets, which can help bring entertainment and connect the virtual and real worlds for children.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's it's one of those things that we know is just so universal, um, and probably needs a little more development to try and figure out what the right, angle is for all of that. But yeah, I mean, universally applicable, I think. I think the old days from the Tamagotchis all the way through to what's possible with modern, you know, relatively inexpensive screens that everybody seems to have from the age of 3 or something. Yeah, very interesting, thought-provoking.
Mhm.
Carlos, I was wondering if you had any research around specific types of pets that were more problematic based on either data that you've collected from pet shops or from individual pet owners on, let's say, things from your simple quote unquote hamster, or let's even go simpler to a goldfish, but go on the extreme to something like a bearded dragon that's high maintenance and requires a lot of work.
A lot of my personal experience and what I've done a lot of research on being a hamster owner is on hamsters. Um, I haven't done a lot of research on a lot of other pets, but even with hamsters, like people think a lot of the taking care of hamsters is simple, but I was kind of shocking. Like most of the things, like the stereotypical things you think about hamsters, according to like a lot of the research I've done, I've seen papers on like why things like using a hamster ball is bad, things that like the very essential things that people think about having a hamster is wrong. And that's why I think that relying on like maybe like generational, like parents teaching their kids how to take care of a pet isn't the best way to do it, because even very simple seeming pets can have a lot of complexities about them, about taking care of them, according to new research.
Carlos, I actually really liked this idea from the perspective of, I grew up as a kid who couldn't have a pet, and I always wanted a pet. But, you know, I didn't have a stable home growing up, so I wasn't able to have a pet. So I actually really like this from the idea of I would be able to essentially, you know, kind of have a pet, but learn about the pet, understand how I would have cared for the pet, and really kind of had a lot of the same experiences as my peers. So I actually quite like that idea in a way for an accessibility side of things. You know, it's a different kind of accessibility, but I really like that idea from that perspective.
Yeah, I considered that too. Like a lot of parents won't let their kids have a pet, or maybe because of other conditions, yeah, they can't have a pet. That's why I think it's really important, like the Tamagotchi or like Nintendogs, like entertaining virtual pets have been there, but it's also cool to add like a level of realism that could help people who are interested in getting a real pet as well.
Yeah, because for me, the Tamagotchi wasn't exciting because it wasn't anything like the experience that the other kids had with pets, right? Like they were learning about an animal. And so I think, yeah, I like that. It's cool.
Yeah, interesting there too, that idea of a, I'm not sure I want to use the phrase this way, but a digital twin. I thought was really interesting, yeah.
Yeah, like afterwards, like connecting the virtual and real pets. I don't know if in my example that's very good because I was using hamsters and you're not supposed to have multiple hamsters together. So I don't know if promoting like virtual and real, but maybe with other animals, having interactions between, like having it be able to interact with the real animal and your virtual animal, like in an AR space, would be cool. Also afterwards, after the pet store experience, the app can maybe double as like resources for veterinary care, because I know I recently had some medical emergency with my hamster, and it's very hard to find vets that specifically will take care of certain animals. Like a lot of them are just for cats and dogs. So if you have a certain animal, maybe there'll be like a directory for where you can get veterinary care, or maybe like help on certain medical things.
Mm, mm.
I actually felt as I was watching it that honestly, you're sort of tapping into a whole global application with healthcare in general. And I think it has very interesting possibilities in that respect. So I think it's great that you focused on your own hamster, but I think it has an application well beyond that. Good job.